Spiritual Living. We're really glad to see you today. Whether you're here with us in person or online, we're glad that you are here. And I do want to remind you that, especially those of you at home, if you have anything that might be distracting you, please put it away or put it aside so you can give your full attention to this wonderful service today. And if you're joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, you can click on the closed captioning, and that will help you if you're having trouble hearing our service today. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Susan Clark, who will help us and lead us in our opening song.
Thank you, Marilyn. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to do one that we all know well, so the words will be up in a minute. It's a Ricky Byers. Yes, let's stand. Get some energy circulating in the room, huh? All right. That's the closing song, not the opening song. Oh, here we go. Here we go. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Again, in the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Again, in the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am one more time. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. And the songs of all my great-grandmothers and the dreams of all my great-grandfathers and the way to rise above the pain, all live, all live, all live in me. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am. I can't hear you sing a little louder. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Oh, in the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am more than I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. The smiles of all the unborn children and the dreams of the better day to come, and the dance of heaven with the earth, all live, all live, they all live in me. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. There you are. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am all more than I will be. I am all that I am. One more time. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. So turn to somebody and say, I'm more than I am. That's a wild statement, isn't it? Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. I am Gil Olmsted. I am the spiritual director here. And I've officially been here over a year now. It's very exciting. So I can't feign that I can't find things in the community, and it's sad. But I'll get over it. Okay, so we're happy you're all here, and just want to thank everybody that makes this happen. There's so many people who are working in our tech center and show up and help out with music and show up for the bookstore and just show up. So we're happy that you're all here. Especially want to thank the practitioners today who are with us. We have Lisa Kerr holding vigil for us in the back of the room. And Christine Duvall is going to lead us in our opening and closing prayers. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we have Marilyn Kirk in the flesh this morning. Yeah, all right. She's back with us, and she's leading our vision mission and doing a reading for us. So without any further ado, it's time for our evocation while Christine hands off the little one, Chico.
And so we breathe together in the land of I am, knowing that great I am is in, as, and through, is among, is between, is everywhere, present and powerful and intelligent. And that is the truth of our being. We live and we move and we have our being in that great love and that great light which surrounds this center, which surrounds this room, which goes forth on the airwaves into the homes of all that are listening. And so I know in this wholeness, in the yin and yangness of this wholeness, that this truth, this light, this love is spoken powerfully with inspiration. And I bless this service. I bless Reverend Abigail, our musicians, our tech team, everyone who is supporting the service with their love and the truth coming through them. I know it is a good morning, it is a good day, and that we are uplifted, we are elevated because we are here together. So I just allow that to be and allow that to flow this morning. And let's say together, and so it is.
So with that, good morning again. It's good to see everyone. Actually, there's more people this time. Wow, okay, well, welcome the rest of you. That's great. Good to have you. So, we have a whole lot of things that we can learn about in our spiritual lives, but there are some basics of New Thought that we just remind ourselves of to help hold down the fort, okay? So I'm just going to do those this morning like we do every week. We believe that there is only one power in the universe. It's called many different things, but it's the same power. And we believe that our thought is creative, meaning that we create a whole lot of what happens in our lives. We actually influence it all. We have more control than we think, which is terrifying. But true. And freeing once we get through that first spot of terrification there. Now I'm doing you. What's going on? We believe that everything is an expression of love or a call for love, because love is all there is. And finally, you can't escape it, but you are whole, perfect, and complete right where you are. Just hold that. And so, we are going to take a moment and bless one another and welcome everyone who may be with us for their first or second time. Do we have any of those that want to identify themselves? New with us today? Are you new? Yes. Oh my gosh. There's someone in the front row who's new. Wow. All right, there's another one. Thank you, welcome. Thanks for being here. Anyone online that's new, thank you. What we're going to do is we're just going to bless you, so the rest of us are going to rub our hands together, get the energy flowing. We're going to hold it out, and we're going to say, we see you.
We see you.
We know who you really are.
We know who you really are.
You are a unique emanation of spirit.
You are a unique emanation of spirit.
We love you.
We love you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
And we thank God for you.
And we thank God for you.
Welcome to Rio Grande CSL. Yay! So in a moment, Marilyn's going to come forward. And I just wanted to say a word, and that is, I'm really happy that we have Reverend Abigail with us today. And yes. And in case you didn't know, her mom will tell you more about her. Okay.
Well, before I do that, let's go ahead and talk about our vision and our mission. So as it shows up on the screen here, if you'll repeat the vision with me. Transforming our world with the power of love in action, and our mission, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. So today, in appreciation of the talk that Abigail is going to be giving, I found this excerpt from a book from Mike Robbins, and he wrote a book called We're All in This Together. And so it has to do with speaking your truth to live a life of authenticity. Do you find it easier to talk about speaking your truth than actually doing it? Speaking up and speaking your truth is an essential aspect of living a life of passion, fulfillment, and authenticity. However, we struggle to find ways to speak our truth, and for many of us, myself included. Not too long ago, as Mike speaks, I was talking to a friend who told me a poignant and powerful story about speaking his truth. He was in a grocery store and saw a woman cruelly yelling at her kids. He explained that he walked over to the woman and asked her to treat her children with kindness and love. Then the woman responded by telling him to stick it up his you-know-what, grabbed her kids, and rushed out of the store. My friend explained that he didn't know if he did the wrong thing, but he was scared, he was upset, he was emotional, but he also said, Mike, when I walked away, I noticed something interesting. I wasn't blaming anyone. I have no idea if what I said impacted that woman, but I don't have to live with her. I have to live with myself. So, by speaking your truth, you open the door to freedom. What if we dared to speak up like that in all areas of our life, our work, our relationships, our family, with people in public and in general? Imagine the freedom and power we would possess. It's not at all like getting in people's faces and challenging them, although sometimes it might take that form. An important distinction to remember is the difference between our opinions and our truth. We all have opinions, but remember, our opinions are not facts. Our opinions are filled with righteous judgment and an arrogant sense that we are right and those who disagree with us are wrong. But our truth runs much deeper than any of our opinions. Truth is not about being right. Truth is about how we feel, what is real for us. It's about expressing what we think and feel in an authentic, vulnerable, and transparent way. We are all entitled to our opinions. For example, I might have an opinion that you are rude. I might even have evidence of things you did in the past that were rude. My truth about this, though, might be that I worry that you will hurt my feelings, or that I don't like some of the things you do, which makes me feel unsafe and uncomfortable around you. When we let go of being right about our opinions and take responsibility for our experience, we can speak our truth from a much deeper and more authentic place. Speaking this deeper truth will not only liberate us, but it has the potential to make a difference for others and bring us closer together with them. Thought it was an interesting talk. So I have a little introduction for Reverend Abigail that's not like the typical one that you see in the newsletter that we get. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of background. Reverend Abigail was actually born here in Albuquerque and graduated from La Cueva High School. She was raised here in the Methodist Church. And at some point in time, her dad invited her to a class at Albuquerque CSL. And then shortly after that, well, John and I had already moved to San Jose, California, and then shortly after that, she joined us. But we were involved in the Methodist Church there. We were very busy there. But she invited us, as she sought out San Jose CSL, she invited us to attend San Jose, and eventually we started to attend there. She started a successful women's retreat in 2007, which continues today. It's called Sister Spirit, in which Yvette and Kamatara have been to. You can talk to them about that. And then she asked me to help out with that retreat. And then shortly after that, Reverend Dr. David Bruner, the spiritual director, insisted that all people in leadership of any sort needed to take foundations. And I was like, okay, I'll take foundations. That's what I need to do. And then I was hooked. So she went on to become a licensed spiritual practitioner, which I got to put her stole on her. And from there, she graduated from Northern California's Holmes Institute with a master's degree in 2011. She was the youngest minister at that time in all of CSL. In 2012, Abigail felt a longing to start a new center in Redwood City, California, called CSL Peninsula, which John and I also helped start along with a handful of other people. And then in 2014, she became officially an ordained minister, and I recently learned that Reverend Gill and Robin attended her ordination, although we didn't know each other at the time. So fast forward to today, Abigail traveled with Reverend Kathy Ann Lewis, the spiritual director at Seattle CSL. She does travel tours, and she went with her on several trips, one to Egypt and a couple of times to Peru. And she became very interested in Reverend Kathy Ann's ministry in Seattle. And when the opportunity arose for her to apply for an associate minister position in Seattle, she took a chance. And she was selected. She's been the associate minister at Seattle CSL for the past 5 years. Abigail loves creating workshops and classes, and she thrives on facilitating foundations class and practitioner classes. She also facilitates advanced practitioner classes online for furthering practitioners' education, and I get to attend those. She continues to be the spiritual leader of Sister Spirit, leading a dream team of 8 of us from 4 different states. And Sister Spirit is now held every year at a wonderful retreat center near Seattle called Seabeck. It is my great pleasure to introduce my daughter to my Rio Grande CSL family, Reverend Abigail Schairer.
Good luck to you. I told her to do a short one. Oh, that was short? Oh, okay. Well, it's so lovely to see all of you. Can you turn this one on? I like this one. There we go. Yeah. Oh, and I could do like shadow puppets. It's so lovely to see all of you this morning, and welcome to this beautiful morning that we have co-created together. I'm very excited because there's a monthly talk, and I'm sure you know that Gil's been following the talk series that all of Centers for Spiritual Living has been giving. And the theme this month is speaking truth to circumstance. And what that means is that there's all the circumstances of our life, but that doesn't really define our truth. And so my talk title is From Reaction to Authentic Action. And I just wanted to think about what were the things in my life that caused me to react. And it kind of goes back to the very beginning. I want to relate something to you that you probably relate to. Imagine being a little baby, and at one time your parents found out your gender. Now, who knows what year that was that you were born? But whenever your gender was discovered, society had all of these things. Maybe around the time I was born, and unfortunately, probably still today, all of the girl items were pink. Girl items were pink. If you went down a store where there's girl stuff, it would all be pink. And then there would be little dolls, babies, all the things for a girl that's supposed to be girly. And then if you were a boy, well, then you might have had, little guns or, blue. Who decided that a color was related to a gender? Who made that story up? Flowers don't feel that way. And so it starts from the very beginning. There's inherited societal conditioning that happens. That's happened to each and every one of us. And the societal expectations of what it means to be your gender influence how you make decisions, how you show up, what you're doing. And that's just one aspect. There's so many other aspects. We've got age, you've got the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation. All of these things, society tells you how you're supposed to be. So I was a girl who both loved to put makeup on, and I also loved to catch lizards and bugs, get in the dirt, go rock hunting. I was a Girl Scout. I can create a fire like nothing else. So and then later on in my life, I discovered, which I had no idea, that I love women. I tried with men. I didn't get the tinglies, sorry. The tinglies happened with women. I was like, oh, I didn't even know until I was an adult. I didn't figure it out. And then I can't tell you how many people have said to me, oh, well, who wears the pants in your relationship? I'm like, we both do. Because there's some kind of societal gender norm. Even if you're in a same gender relationship, there has to be somebody who's the man and somebody who's the woman. And so there's always these society's expectations. And even in the lesbian world, then it's like, are you butch or are you femme? Well, can I be both? I mean, I look good in a suit, I'm just saying. But it's interesting to recognize that all of this is how society has molded and formed who we are. And now there's a new revolution that's happening. I have a whole bunch of friends who have realized that this whole gender concept does not fit in with them. And they're going by they, them. And I can't tell you how many other of my friends have been like, I don't like it. I don't like the they, them thing. Because they, them means a bunch of people. Because that's what I was taught. Right? So it's the teaching of our languaging and what it means. Because what would it mean for me to deconstruct that meaning and reconstruct it so it's more inclusive? That means I need to change because they don't want to fit in a gender box. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to go to some place that's uncomfortable for me to be in order to be the truth that I came here to be on this planet? Who did you come here to be? I came here to be an emissary of love. I want to take a stand for love. Does love care about gender? How many people were brought up in a certain particular religion where when you read the Bible, it all said he? Yeah. Now, can you imagine how weird it was, at least for me, growing up, and somebody said she as God? And I was like, what? How could God be she? Well, how could God be he? Does God have a gender? No. And yet, there's a way that society has conformed us to speak in a certain way that means, well, God, the Almighty, must be man. And as a man, that probably feels pretty good. Yeah, we're number one. Unless you're a man who wants to be inclusive and recognize the equality of all human beings. That might mean that I have to renegotiate all those words that I was taught. I might have to pay attention to what words I'm speaking and the meanings behind them and the impact they have on others when I speak them. Because the infinite great creator is all genders and no genders at all. I mean, this podium is God. It is not a gender. It is genderless. Quite lovely. So questioning, what is it that made me who I am? And is that really who I am? And am I willing to let go of some of the social constructs that I realize make me who I am? I mean, it's so interesting, the they-them thing, I have to say. A lot of my friends, one of my friends is very androgynous, and they go by they-them because they said, I don't fit in the man box. I don't fit in the woman box. I just fit in the me box. I fit in the me box. And when somebody says she or him, it doesn't feel like me. And so I want to be true to who I am. And so I like to be called they, them. And that meant that I had to change how I spoke to them. I had to change to enroll them into them feeling like they were seen for who they are. And it was uncomfortable. I said she a whole bunch of times. I made mistakes. And fortunately, they loved me enough to say they. And I said, oh, yes, they. And that's what being a loving individual for me means, is that I'm willing to look at my own beliefs, my own structures, my own conditioned responses, to see how I might be willing to open myself up to be more loving in this world. So that's the first thing. In order for us to go from reaction to authentic action is to look at our own societal conditioning. And in order to break free from societal conditioning, I encourage you to do a couple of things. One is set some time aside for self-reflection. The beauty of this teaching is that we have classes, we have workshops, we have books, we have places that you can go, journals, that you can do this work on yourself. You know, I recognize that by the definition of woman, me claiming that in my life, which I do claim, has also prevented me at times from standing in my power because I was afraid. Because women who are powerful are bitches. And then, and I can't tell you how many men I know have not been emotional. Because, well, that's not being a man. I have our accountant at our Center for Spiritual Living Seattle. He's told me, he worked at a job one time and he had a male boss, and he's a very sensitive man. I love him so much. He cries almost every day because he loves people so much. It's just I love him. And he said his boss came in one time, and he was having a hard day, and he was a little teary-eyed, and his boss said, well, you need to man up. And he was like, excuse me, what does that mean? I'm sorry. I'm an accountant, and I'm doing an extraordinary job. What do you mean I need to man up? And he said that his boss kind of like took a few steps back and was like, oh yeah, huh. But recognizing, where do you play that role? Where do you fall into those places where society's told you how you're supposed to be? So look at that idea of what internalized society's condition have I taken on? What have I taken on as my identity? And if I release that identity, would I still be okay? Would I still be safe? Would I still be me? So the second thing to recognize and to stop reacting and going to authentic action is to recognize the impact of media influence. Yes. Consider the omniscience and omnipresence of media in our lives. How often do you have your phone on you? How often do you look at it? How often do you play on it? How often are you watching TV or listening to the news or hearing the radio? Is it always talking? Is there something always there? And knowing that the words that we receive and the things that we look at actually form subconscious impressions in our lives. What are we allowing to seep into our consciousness? And how are we allowing the media to influence our reactions? There was a TED Talk that I watched a couple of years, I think it was like 10 years ago, actually. I rewatched it before I did this talk. Cameron Russell did this TED Talk. She's a supermodel. And she was talking about how when she first became a model, it was basically like winning a lottery. She said, you don't go into modeling industry because you are talented. She said, you get into the modeling industry because it's like a lottery. She said, I happen to be born with genes, I'm tall, I'm slender, and I'm white. She said at that time, when she was doing modeling, there was over 650 supermodels, and 4% of them were people of color. And she said the most interesting thing was that she worked in the beauty industry. Her job was being beautiful. And she was there one time just before this photo shoot, and she was thinking about this, and she said all of the women she was standing with, which were the supermodels of the day, she said they had the longest legs, the shiniest skin, the most beautiful hair that the industry standard thought was appropriate. And she said that they were the most self-conscious women she had ever been around. And they were the image of beauty. So what is that saying? I love the body positive movement that's happening right now. And I had a talk, I'm doing these candid conversations about diversity with some people. And I had a talk with one of my friends online. We're doing this Facebook Live thing. And we were talking about beauty and how it's influenced us. And, you know, I recalled this one time. I have two friends, tall, larger women. We were walking along the beach. And they were in bikinis, and I was not. And I was noticing that I was feeling insecure. And I looked over at them, and they were just loving their bodies. They loved all of it. Every single flap and fold. They were so confident in who they are. And I just had that like moment of recognition, like, They got it. And I told that story to my friend, and she said, yeah, that's called fat phobia. Internalized fat phobia. And it made me think about the same thing of me walking down the street with my girlfriend and contemplating, should I hold her hand or not? Because that's internalized homophobia. Should I do this thing because of what other people might think of me? Am I afraid to be my authentic self because of how I might be treated? And yes, I've been treated bad because people have found out that I love women. But should that prevent me from being my most authentic truth? Should I alter who I am in order to fit into a box that somebody else said was the supposed societal box? It's uncomfortable to recognize these things in ourselves. See, science of mind is the place where we invite you to evaluate yourself, not other people. If you came here, the challenge is for you to take yourself on, to look at your own behaviors, to look at your own habits, to look at your own patterns, and to not say, oh yeah, well, mom should be doing that. Why doesn't she do that? No, it's not about that. It's about, what am I? Who am I in this world, and who do I want to be? Am I being influenced by all that media? Have you done a media detox recently? Yeah. It's interesting. Put your phone away for a day. Can you do it? Can you do it? I talked with a friend who's an animal specialist, and she said, when you play with your animals, put your phone down. Spend time with your animal, giving them 100% of your attention. How many times have you gone out to a meal at a restaurant and then there's two people like playing on their phones? Maybe that's you, I don't know. But putting the phone down and becoming present with somebody is one of the most inviting, heart-connecting things that could be. So I invite you to look at that, to break free from media influence, to recognize that wherever you're spending your focus and your attention is impacting your life. I look at good news websites. I also look at the other news websites. I like to stay tuned because I like to know what I'm going to pray for. But I don't want that to influence my entire being. I want to know what good works, what good people are out in the world. What is the positive view? Because our perspective and our view and our thoughts are creative, like Gail was saying. And if I believe that the world is a good place, that is made of human beings that are here to benefit humanity, I start attracting those humans in my life. I start surrounding myself with those humans, and I see the outpicturing of that in my world. So when I obsess on all the people who have done terrible things, then I'm just attracting more of that because I'm obsessing over it. So who can you be, and how can you stand for who you are in the world? Again, I'm an emissary of love. What does that look like? Who do I get to be? How does that show up? Oftentimes it's very humbling. It's very humbling to look at my own internalized experience that I've had, the racism I didn't even know existed because I'm a white person. I've had to discover that about myself, that I live in a sea of ways of being because of the color of my skin that actually negatively impact others that don't have the same skin color as me. I didn't even know until I knew. But once I knew, then I realized, well, that's not the world I want to live in. That's not the societal beingness that I want to be. I got to consciously create something different. I got to use who I am and my visioning and visualizing and dreaming in connection with the source to imagine a different world of possibility. And that's the call to action. It's not ignoring what is. Once we see what is, it gives us an opportunity to say, all right, that's not working. Let's change that. Let's be the place where change shows up. You know, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. So instead of saying, wow, I so wish the world was different. Gosh, it sucks out there. It means, well, that's your call to action. That's your call to step in to becoming the new place that you imagine it to be. So my second point was recognizing the impact of media influence and to consciously recognize where you're being influenced. And my third point is to empower authentic action. Now, speaking of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, I didn't really know, I knew that he was an advocate for nonviolence, but I didn't realize, and pardon me for being a little bit historically uneducated, that he was in India at a time when the British were ruling. And during the time when the British were ruling, they had this huge media campaign going on that was teaching all of the Indian people to not do anything bad. Otherwise, there would be grave, grave issues. So they had campaigns that were training people how to be subjugated and to only listen to the British rulers as the ruling class. And the media was influencing that, just like I imagine is happening in Russia right now, where there is a certain perspective that is shown that people can only hear that perspective. And what happened was that the Indian people were going along with it. They were being overruled by a king. And Mahatma Gandhi was like, I think there's a greater possibility. Look at how many of us there are. And look at this British rule that's far away from us. And yet we're here, not allowed to live our own lives, not allowed to create our own systems that work for us. And so he started a campaign of love, a campaign of nonviolence. And he stood up to people who are perpetrators. And he said, I'm not willing to take this anymore. And you know what? If we all stand together and we take a stand for love and we take a stand for justice, maybe things will change. And people started listening to him. They got hope. They had this idea, this vision of the future that was a possibility that could unfold without violence, without harming somebody else. Who do you think inspired Martin Luther King? He transformed the whole country because of his willingness to take a stand for love, which, by the way, is much more powerful than hate or fear or violence. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. He caused a revolution with the power of love. Now imagine what we could do if we harnessed that same power. Imagine the stand we could take. Imagine who we could be if we say, wow, there's some injustice happening in the world. What if I took a stand for love? What if I was willing to envision a new possibility? Because that's what Gandhi also had. He had a vision that was a possibility for the future, which he helped create into real life. And that's the opportunity that we all have, is to dream and imagine and then become the world that we want to see happen in the world. So when you are looking at this opportunity of speaking truth to circumstance, it's also taking the opportunity to reflect on your own societal formation of who you are. And asking yourself, what is the truth with the big T? What would love do? What would love be in this situation? And oftentimes it's humbling, and oftentimes it's inspiring, and oftentimes it will cause a revolution for good in the world. And I think that's what we're all here to be a part of. Now, maybe your part is a revolution in a kid's life, but who knows what that kid is going to be? Maybe it's stepping in a way that you never thought was possible when you see harm being done, or somebody being racist or unkind to another. And it might be scary, and it might be a courageous thing to do. But if it's what love calls you to do, then it's what you were meant to be in this world. So I encourage you to take these thoughts and to allow it to simmer into your being. Allow yourself to look at your media consumption. Allow yourself to look at your dreaming consumption. How much are you taking in, and how much are you creating yourself? And what would you like to create? I see a vision of a world that does work for everyone. That's what Centers for Spiritual Living, that's our vision statement, a world that works for everyone. And sometimes that means I have to change. Actually, it means a lot of times I have to change. And I've been willing to do so because I'm willing to take a stand for that world, because I'm willing to take a stand for you and we and who we could collectively be. And so it is. So I would love to do a prayer, but I do believe that the practitioners and ministers in house stand when the person is praying. So please, I'd like to invite our practitioners and ministers to surround the room with your energy and your consciousness, and to recognize that these people who are surrounding the room have made a commitment to being the place where love shows up in the world. And so knowing right here and right now that I make a conscious choice to surrender my reaction, which is a conditioned belief, a conditioned pattern. I recognize and know that there truly is an infinite pattern of love and light that I was born with, that supersedes any other conscious conditioning that I have received. And so I tap in and I tune in to that resonance of love and light. I allow it to guide me, to direct me, to unfold the next right and perfect steps in my life, to pull me towards that vision of a world that works for everyone. I recognize and know that each and every person here is shifted and gifted and uplifted as a result of being in the consciousness of this love and light and awakening to their true divinity. A place that is inclusive of all, a place where love shows up, a place where every color is celebrated, where each and every person, regardless of their physical ability, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their skin color or ethnicity, their age, their station in life, their history, regardless of all of that, there is a place in each and every one of us that is all powerful, that is almighty, that is all loving, and that is world transforming. And so I claim and know that that is activated within each and every one of us today. And it may be with just little tiny actions of love throughout the day. Or it may be a big action, a revolution, a revelation of love that is happening on the planet that we are called to be a part of, to contribute to. Regardless of the size, there is no size in God, because everything makes a difference. Everything. Every smile, every heartbeat, every action of love, every kind word has that butterfly effect. of transforming the planet. And so I know and claim that that is active in my life today. And from this day onward, that I'm open to it, that I receive it, that I am it, that I express it. And I claim that for each and every person here, and right now. Today is a new day. And I'm grateful for it. It is magnificent, beautiful beyond measure, better than I can imagine, because that's how Spirit knows itself through us, through love, through light, through joy, and through connection. And so I claim it, I know it, I accept it, I express it, and I release it easily and effortlessly and peacefully. And so it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm inspired. I'm inspired. Thank you very much. So, in this moment, we are going to take a moment and share our monetary gifts. We've all been sharing so many gifts together, and this is just the opportunity to contribute. Many people already do this in all different ways. If they're at home, they have the opportunity to, there'll be something going across the screen for them to do in a moment. There's texting, there's online giving, there's all kinds of things. So I'm just going to invite us to bless symbolically what we give and say, so with me together, I am abundant and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed and I give from my blessings. My blessings of Spirit are as abundant as the stars, and so I give, receive generously. And so it is. So let us give and receive.
some Faith Rivera for you.
Well, if anybody asks if we have any talent here, just tell them, no, we don't have any. It's, thank you, Susan. Thank you, John. Fantastic. So let's just take a moment. Bless these gifts. I'm so grateful. Grateful for the vision that these represent. Grateful for the opportunity to be of service. Grateful for the partnership that each of us steps into as a part of this community. So I give thanks for these gifts and bless them, knowing that they are truly the work of Spirit. And so it is. So just taking a moment, I want to invite everyone to drop by our prayer garden a little later, have a prayer with a practitioner. Most of them have a stole on. If they don't and they claim they're a practitioner, they probably are anyway, so don't worry about it. Have a seat. It's actually very fun. Opportunity could be very blessing for you, and it could just be uplifting. So we invite that. We also have a prayer box in the back. People can write a prayer on and be prayed for. Online, we have a place on the website where you can put in for a prayer, and those get prayed for by the practitioners and sent out. And actually, I think sitting at your seat, there may be a card in the pocket in front of you. So there's lots of ways to just invite support. So please feel free to do that. And I just want to say thank you again to Reverend Abigail. And if I remember right, it's my wife's fault that I know you. Yeah. So once again, Robin did it. I know you all think, does this guy actually do anything or what? But she introduced us years ago, and we got to support her and show up at a few things. She got to tell me all about how you're supposed to raise money because of her grand experience and working in that area. And it's just fun. It's just fun to see people continue to grow and expand and learn. And wow, what a message you brought for us. What a message. And a great reminder. I will have to go home and listen to it again. So thank you. So everybody, we invite everyone to come to the social hall. That's what it's called. It's around the corner. The social hall, have a bite to eat after service. But I'm not going to belabor that because we have someone coming forward to tell us all about what we need to know for the day. And so I think it might be her maiden voyage. Here she is, Tamra.
My maiden voyage is as part of the announcements ministry, and that was coined by our board president, Mark Ayers, which puts a whole new spin on giving announcements, and I kind of like it. I hope you all do too. First of all, of course, I want to congratulate and thank Reverend Abigail for a wonderful talk, and to remind you that you have a golden opportunity to hear even more from Reverend Abigail. In just a little while, at 12:30, she's going to be presenting Sacred Facilitation Mastery, where you'll be able to embrace your own transformation. And it's particularly for practitioners, leaders of groups, or just because you want to step into a place where you'll transform your own world. So there's still opportunities for you to attend, $35. Just contact Carmela or Marilyn O'Leary. Or, of course, Mom, who'll be glad to sign you up so that you can attend. And on a different note, we also have a celebration of life for our dearly beloved Julia Washington, who passed away a couple weeks ago. The Celebration for Life will be here at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, July 11th. We'd love it if you attend, and if you know people who knew Julia and want to honor her, please invite them and come. And it'd be helpful if you let us know if you're coming so we can accommodate you. And there's a sign-up sheet, sign-up form on Breeze, or you can just let Carmela or anybody at the center know that you're coming. Some people are providing food, and if that's your calling to bring food, please do. It would make it even more fun that way. We're going to have another wonderful experience here at the center celebrating music. And with that, I want to take a detour and to thank Susan and John for their incredible music, how much they give all of us. We are so fortunate. And you'll all have the opportunity to make your own kind of music with sacred drumming. If you've been to a drumming before, you notice how wonderful it is, how healing, and how you can connect with other people. If you haven't been, you can experience it for yourself. And that is on July 26th, right here at 5 p.m. We're having a professional drummer come, and he'll bring drums. So if you have your own, please bring it. If not, come anyway, and we'll provide one for you. Just a quick note about the Hefferland Grant. I know you've heard of it, and it's where we got money, $4,500, in addition to some money that was so generously donated by members of our community that will transform our service. So we'll be connecting even more with each other and with our online community. That structure that we see here at the center, but you all don't get to see it, you online folks, you lucky people, you. But it's not real attractive. It's a glass box, and it separates whoever's on the camera from everybody else. So shout out to the camera people, to the sound people, to all the people who have helped us here, because we're going to kick it up a whole bunch of new notches when we get that money in about 8 weeks. So let's celebrate RGCSL and celebrate all of you. Thank you.
Just a note on Julia's service, it is going to be available on YouTube and on the regular places where you find Sunday morning service, it will be there. So if you know people, particularly out of town, that might be interested, please let them know.
So as we close this time together, we close this wonderful service. We just want to feel our gratitude for what we have been given, for how we have been moved, for how we have more insight into the way that the divine is infused into our material world, into our circumstances, and how we have the power to let it out, let it flow, let it be. We can be a true participant in focusing love and light into a particular circumstance and situation. And I know that as we go forth today, whatever that circumstance is for us, that we are guided, we are given wisdom, we are given whatever support it is that we need, we are protected. We know that we are love, we stand with that love in our neighbors and in our world, and we cross over together into that transformed place of living love. And so we give great thanks for how this service has contributed. And we just allow it to be and allow it to flow this week. Thank you, God. Let's say together, and so it is.
Thank you, Chris. If I could have everybody stand, we're going to have a closing song here, and we're going to take a break from Let There Be Peace this week, and we're going to do a Karen Drucker tune to close out. This is called Something Amazingly Awesome Is Going to Happen to Me Today. So I'm gonna start it out kind of slow, just so you get the hang of it, and then John will help me come up to speed. Something amazingly awesome. I think we're going to have some amazingly awesome lyrics on the screen any minute. Here we go. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. I'll sing my little mantra, gonna get it in my head. Today is a party, I'm gonna leap on out of bed and start my day in this way, knowing everything is okay. I look for the good in everything, makes me want to say something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. Oh, it's not out in the future, it's gonna right before my eyes. It's beauty, joy, and wonder. It's time I realize that every moment is a gift. All it takes is a slightest shift to see the good